Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the next in the series of the triplicities of the astrological zodiacal wheel, if you want to call it. So as you can see, today we are here to talk about the water triplicity. So when we think about a triplicity, I talked about this in the air video, but I'm going to go back over it again. So you've got three signs that are governed by the same element, and you've got a cardinal sign, a fixed sign, and a mutable sign. Now, as I've come to understand it, to put my own personal slant on it, I am an Aquarius after all. I see the cardinal signs as representing, the cardinal signs are a sign that will start a season. So it will be at the start of a season. Cardinal signs are Cancer, Libra, Aries, and Capricorn. Right, and so these cardinal signs are they're beginning stages of something. When you get a fixed sign, I believe that fixed, when you think about fixed, it's grounded, it's practical. You get the body, so the fixed signs represent the physical body, I personally believe, and they also represent the middle of a season. Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius. I know those really well because they're quite prominent in my chart. And then you got the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini. Took me a real moment, didn't it? Right? So, when we're talking about this, so you've got Cancer as a cardinal sign, you've got Scorpio as the fixed water sign, and you've got Pisces as the mutable sign. And when you think about the characteristics, Cancerians tend to think a lot more. They're a little bit more cerebral than the others, and they tend to use their minds to process the information that they, to really navigate life. Scorpio does things through the senses, through the physical self. And then Pisces is all about connecting to the universal or the spiritual brotherhood. And that's why I've put it down as spirit. And this is how I've come to classify the three types, or the triplicity. So the water triplicity, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. What are some of the qualities then? What are some of the textures or the way that water will express the ways that water will express some of its characteristics? And what I've got here is feeling, sensual, intuitive, connective, magnetic, secretive, moist and wet. Obviously it's water, right? Predictable. And the reason I put water as predictable is because when you think about it in terms of its magnetic quality, water will always seek the lowest point on Earth, and then it will start to fill from there, right? So it will go up, but it always has to go to the lowest point first. So in effect, it always, in that way, it is kind of predictable. If you put water in a cup, it will take the shape of a cup. If you put water on, in whatever shape you put it in, the water will take that. And so in that way, although it's predictable, it's also adaptive. It's very sort of accepting is one of the really big words for the water triplicity, because they are able to yield to what is, so that they can just accept and envelop. And when you think about it, the sea can dissolve anything. It just and it will take its time to do so, spiritual, intuitive, life-giving, nurturing, absolutely. So when you think about all of the water, water is the element that brings life, right? It's been said. And in order to sustain life, you have to have water in some way, shape or form. And so when we talk about nurturing, it is kind of certainly more on the Cancerian side, but water as an element is very nurturing. It's also very nourishing and very quenching. It's somber, so the water signs can be quite prone to swaying moods, especially. They can be, sometimes prone to depression. Not as a rule, but it is something, and it tends to be because a lot of the way that they process things, or that the way that they navigate life, is through their feelings. So to talk about this further, you've got here what we call, so each of the water signs trines one. So Cancer is ruled by the 4th house, or rules the 4th house. And then you've got Scorpio, which rules the 8th house, and then you've got Pisces that rules the 12th house. Now, what I find interesting about this as well is I'm going to look at the numerological links as well, because I find it fascinating. So the 4th house is about your foundation. It's about the home. It's about it's about your foundation, effectively, right? It's about what you learn about the world through connection, through your personal family, through your tribe, through your upbringing, your conditioning, the world around you, the protective, or sometimes not so protective environment that you grow in, that you're nourished in. And the number 4 is actually ruled by Saturn. But when you think about the number 4 in terms of its numerological association, I find it really interesting, because it's like, the number 4 in terms of numerology is about foundation. It's what you build on, right? It's what you, and really, like we say, your home life is what you build on. What you learn at home is how you tend to view or see the world, or what colors the rest of your experiences through life, through your emotions, through your feelings. And obviously with as you grow up, as you grow as an adult, you tend to work a lot of that stuff either out or past it. But it's really interesting. The number 8 in terms of numerology is all to do with power. It's all to do with physical attributes. It's all to do with manifesting wealth, but it's also about creating physical things from spiritual things, and learning the process that you need to go through to do so. It's also about money. It's about business. It's about the connection that you need to form in order to be successful in business. And then when you think that Scorpio rules the 8th house, well, what is the 8th house? It's the house of other people's money. It's the house of your partner's money. It's the house of inheritance. It's the house of tax, of death. It's about all of the powers that are outside or opposite of you, that have a governance or a say within your life in some way, shape or form. And then you've got Pisces in the 12th house. Now, this is an interesting one, because obviously in numerology you always simplify. So it would give you the number 3. And what I find interesting about this is the 12th house is all to do with your past, but it's also the amalgamation of everything that goes through the zodiac. So from Aries right the way through to Pisces, it's the culmination point of all of those experiences and everything that's come before it. Which I find fascinating. To take it a little deeper, if 1 were the masculine and 2 were the feminine, when you join the 2 together, you get the 3rd entity. There's something else. The 12th house is very spiritual, the house of, the universe, the house of other things, the house of the spiritual, the unseen, the things that are, on the other side of the veil, which I find absolutely fascinating. So that's some of the numerological links. What else did I want to talk about? And as I said, so I've got here domain, the water triplicity is the domain of the feelings and the emotions. It's sensual, spiritual and ethereal, and they experience the world internally. And this really is the term still waters run deep. It's still waters run deep for a reason. So even when the water signs are being tempestuous, it's been said, when you look at the sea and it's raging, oof, you don't want to see that. The full force of water, when you think of a tidal wave, is absolutely unstoppable when it blows its lid, which is why I said in the air triplicity video, the two elements, forget the signs, but the 2 elements that you never want to read you are a water sign and an air sign. And the reason being is because the air sign will deal with the straight facts and tell you about yourself. The water sign will go deep into the emotions and bring up all of your shit and lay it bare at your feet, which is why I say, when they go, it can get pretty intense. So, with that said, and as I said, with the air signs, what tends to be important is knowledge and the acquisition of knowledge, but how it's expressed for each sign is different. So with the water signs, it's connection that is important. It's connection that they kind of live for and live their life, and the guise of life or the expression of life comes through a different medium for all of them. So for Cancerians, it's about the familial or the protective or the nurturing and the nourishing. It's about creating or rather it's about fulfilling other people's need and finding a sense of satisfaction and joy in that. You know, Cancerians love to feed people. They love to invite people round, come to my place, I'll look after you or feed you. Cancerians make wonderful hosts. You know, come into my home, let me create an environment that will help you flourish, or even if you're feeling bad, help you feel better. That's one of the things that they love and that they strive for. How it's expressed with a Scorpio, through sexuality and sensuality. Scorpio also can express some of its even some of its love. Scorpio and scorpionic energy can be expressed through domination, you know, and not out of the need or the want to hurt anybody or malice, but just because it's part of their nature to want and need that control by going into something to the absolute depth. And then finally, you know, true connection, the connection that is reached to the material world, the connections that is formed between the material world and the internal world, which is why sex and sensuality are so important to Scorpios, because it's one of the ways that they express their deepest emotions. You know, a lot of people say like, oh, you know, Scorpios and sex, but actually for a lot of them it's very, very sacred, and if they give that part of themselves to you, it's them trying to demonstrate that there is some part of them that is really deeply connected to you. Pisces, spiritual, intuitive, mystical, universal, charitable. You know, the connection is about the connection with the water signs, and the way that they express that need or want or experience of the connection is through the things that I've mentioned. So with Pisces, you know, caring for people, making sure that they do charitable deeds, being artistic, being creative, being childlike, being mysterious, escaping everyday reality for finding something better. You know, it's all about the way that they choose to experience or navigate life, and the water signs tend to navigate life through the internal self. You know, they are all about what is within, bringing the outside in, and trying in many ways to bring the inside out. You know, it's very much about that kind of process. So that is the water triplicity, and you know, some of my thoughts and feelings on it. I really hope it's helped. So also worth mentioning, water needs connection. It needs interaction. It needs to be held. Water also seeks to find out what is beneath or what is below, to find out what is amiss or out of place. You know, water it will permeate everything. You know, if you put things, you know, in and you submerge them in water, eventually even things that are waterproof will become waterlogged, because it's patient. It will wait. It will gently work its way in and submerge you. You know, it's got that quality. I know for me personally, and I'm not even, you know, I have a Cancer moon, fine, but there's nothing more powerful or more spiritual to me than when you're in the sea. You know, I feel so powerful when I'm submerged in water and I'm just sort of floating in the water. I feel like it's like a hug from the earth, right? It's got links to the womb as well. When you think about that, water is very nourishing. It gives life, it brings birth. And one of the, you know, it's not just about connections, it's not just about feelings, but it's also about, like I said, getting what is inside out. And the water signs tend to live and experience a lot of the outside world and its experiences through the internal. So they, you know, it's really important for them to try and get that out, which is why connecting to friends and family and people is so important to them, because otherwise they live very often, you know, internally, and it kind of just stays there. So I hope this has helped you in some way, shape or form. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you get something from it. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you very soon for the next installment. Take care, and I'll see you soon for more videos.